Situations and conversations with Trey Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee.
Hey everyone, Jeremiah Stroop, and we are celebrating Trey Renee. She's joined our TV family, bringing over 5 seasons of Situations and Conversations to our amazing viewers here. And we're so excited to celebrate these great conversations. Trey, thanks for being with us today.
Oh my gosh, I am so honored to highlight some of my favorite episodes over the past 5 seasons. This one in particular is super inspiring.
We're calling it Trey's Top 10. I know you loved all these conversations, but this one, I think, no matter where people come from, could be inspiring for them.
Well, I don't know how you're not inspired by a story like this. Larry Miller. He is a pillar, an icon, if you will, in our community, in the corporate world. Talking about Nike, Brand Jordan, our Portland Trailblazers. He has run all of these businesses and companies. Wow. But wait, he used to be behind bars. He went from behind bars literally to the boardroom, holding this secret for I don't know how long until now, which is so awesome. It's such an incredible story. And we were able to have a town hall at Wyden and Kennedy here locally in town, and it was super powerful, Jeremiah.
Trey, that's phenomenal. And no matter where you've come from, it doesn't determine your destination. So let's check out this great episode, one of Trey's Top 10.
Welcome to Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Trey Renee, and today's show is all about inspiration and celebration. Our guest today is Larry Miller. Oh, he came from the streets of West Philadelphia and made his way to the boardroom running things, most notably at companies like Nike, Jordan Brand, and the Portland Trailblazers. I had a chance to go to Wyden and Kennedy, global ad agency, and in partnership with XB Community to have a little fireside chat with Larry Miller. Take a look. Larry Miller, from behind bars to the boardroom. That is major. Has everybody here had a chance to read or listen to Larry's book? By a clap of hands, let me hear it. Only because I don't want to have too many spoilers or anything as I'm talking, because I absolutely finished the book. Okay, kind of clap if you have. All right. Okay, so I won't get into too much because I'm going to say this over and over again. I highly encourage everybody to make sure you get Larry's book. It is called My Secret Journey. It's Jump, My Secret Journey from the Streets to the Boardroom. And if you're not an avid reader, maybe you're in the car a lot, you can absolutely download it on audiobook. The gentleman who did the audiobook is very good. Not your voice.
It's not me.
I was like, this isn't Larry.
They asked me if I wanted to do it. I was like, nah, let somebody else.
No, he did a good job, though. He did a good job. He represented quite well, inflection and all. But my point is, there's no reason for you all not to be able to consume this offering from Larry Miller, a phenomenal person who I am really honored to have known for many, many years, and who I'm very honored to have been asked to sit here and have this fireside chat with you. So let's get chatting. Okay, West Philadelphia, born and raised.
On the playground is where I spend most of my life.
Talk to us about growing up on the streets of West Philadelphia back in the day.
So first, I want to thank Ronnie and everyone associated with putting this together. My book actually came out about a little more than a year ago, and this is actually the first time that I'm talking about it in Portland. I've talked about it in cities all over the country and actually in places outside of the country. And I just want to thank Ronnie for giving me an opportunity to share with folks here where I live, at home. My oldest daughter, for years, worked on me and tried to convince me to share my life story. And for years, I Heismaned her. I was like, no way, I'm not doing this, because for years, for 40 years, I had something that I was hiding from the world, from people that I worked with, from Phil Knight and Michael Jordan, from everybody who knew me and worked with me. None of them knew. Well, I thought none of them knew. Some knew that I didn't, and I didn't know they knew. But anyway, my whole for the whole time I've been here in Portland, it's been hiding from this story. And my daughter was like, "Dad, your story can inspire and motivate some people for where you've come from to what you've been able to accomplish. It's something that can be inspirational to people." So she worked on me for a long time. And when I say a long time, I'm talking about 10, 12 years. And I kept saying, no, no, no. And finally, I don't know exactly what made me kind of realize that she was right. But at a certain point, I was like, you know what? This makes sense, and I should go ahead and share this story. And one of the reasons that I decided to do it is that, you know, I've been so blessed in my life that I was like, if I don't share this and share what I've been able to accomplish and the things that I've gone through, then I wouldn't be showing my appreciation for how blessed I am if I don't share this story. So she motivated me and pushed me to do it. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, then we're going to do it together. And so her and I worked on it together for a long time. We would get together, and I would tell her stories. She'd ask questions, and she would record it. And so after a while, we had this document that had all these stories and all this information, but it wasn't a book. It wasn't in a book form. So we connected with a ghostwriter. And he worked with myself and mostly my daughter. She did most of the work. I ain't going to deny it. And we were able to put the book together and to get it published. And what I didn't want to share with people, or what I was hiding from, was the fact that from the age of like 12, 13 up until 30, I was in and out of jail. I was in a gang. I was a gangbanger. I was a thug. When I was 16 years old, I shot another young man and he died. And I was charged with murder, and was actually, I pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, was sentenced to 4.5 to 20 years, and did the 4.5, got out, in and out of trouble again, in and out of jail. Finally, I ended up going back to jail for 5 armed robberies. And that, and to kind of mimic what was said earlier, it was the best thing that could have happened to me when I got arrested that last time, because I was able to, first of all, I realized that I didn't want to live this life anymore. I didn't want to be in and out of jail. I didn't want to live that life anymore. And when I was arrested the last time, I ended up getting sentenced to 4 to 10 years. And they had a program at the jail I was at where you could actually take college classes inside the jail and then stay out of trouble, all that. You could qualify to move into these trailers that were outside the jail wall and leave every day and go to school and just have to be back by 8 o'clock at night. And when I heard about that program, I'm like, man, if I got to do time, that's how I want to do it, being able to leave every day and come back. And that was what motivated me to get into the program. But once I got into the program, I really started to believe that I could change my life through getting an education. So I ended up, I was going to Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania, got my associate's degree while I was in that program, going back and forth to school. Got my associate's degree, transferred down to a halfway house in North Philly, and was able to transfer all of my credits to Temple University. And so I started at Temple as a junior, got my degree in accounting, of all things. As a criminal, I got an accounting degree. But got my degree in accounting. And when I was there was, back then, if you were an accounting major, there was what was called the Big 8 accounting firms. and your goal was to work for one of those big 8 firms. So I had kind of targeted one of them. It was called Arthur Andersen, and I'm like, this is who I want to work for. And so I went there, spent the whole day interviewing with a number of people all day. And in the back of my mind all day long, I'm saying, should I share my background with these people? Because they were just looking at, here's, a black student that's got graduating with honors in accounting. We want to hire him. And so went through the whole day. Finally, I get to the last guy who was like the hiring manager. So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to share my story with this guy. So I start telling him my story, and I can see his face changing as I'm talking. I can see, and not in a good way. And so I got through telling him, and when I was done, he said, wow, that's an amazing story. I'm sure you're going to do fine. He reached in his pocket and pulled out an envelope, and he said, I had an offer letter here all ready to give you, but I can't give it to you now. He said, I can't take a chance on you at this point. I wish you the best, but I can't hire you. And at that point, I decided that I was not going to share my story anymore. I wasn't going to hide from it. I wasn't going to lie about it. If someone asked or if it came up, if a question was asked, I was going to be truthful, but I wasn't going to volunteer the information. And that's how I lived my career for 40 years, like being afraid that somehow the story would come out. I had migraines for years so bad I ended up in the ER a few times. I had nightmares about going back to jail, but all the time I was building this career. And so while I'm nervous and afraid that I'm going to get found out, at the same time I was still pushing forward and putting myself in high-profile situations that could have really, could have really outed me, really. And when I went to work for the Trailblazers, that was really the most challenging and the one that I was most afraid of, because I knew that the teams do significant background checks. I knew Paul Allen was, concerned about the people around him, so I knew they were going to do a really thorough background check, and they did. And I didn't find this out until after the book came out, but they actually found out about Paul. So there was a guy named Todd Lewicki Todd ran all the teams for Paul Allen. And Todd and I had connected. He really wanted to hire me. He knew I was like the right person for the job. So, but when they came back, when the NFL actually did the background check, and they went down to City Hall, went through some old boxes and found some stuff. They found some felony records and stuff like that. And again, I didn't know anything about this. And they told Todd. Todd then realized he had to tell Paul Allen about this. And so he was nervous about it because he wanted to hire me, but he was concerned that Paul might push back on it. So he said he was driving from Portland to Seattle, and he called Paul and kind of told him what they had found out and what the deal was. And Paul said, well, I got one question. He said, what's that? He said, how long ago was this? He said, like 30 plus years ago. He said, don't worry about it then. And so here all along, I didn't find that out until after the book came out. So all along I was nervous and afraid, and they knew.
Go figure.
They knew. And so, but it's been a challenging, telling the story though and getting it out has been really freeing and rewarding to me. I was telling Ronnie earlier that when I would talk, especially talking to young people, I would always feel like I was cheating them because I could talk about my career stuff, but I would avoid and stay away from anything that might raise a question about my past. And so now it feels good to be able to talk about everything, to be able to talk about my past, to be able to share that with young people, with anybody who may be able to be motivated or inspired by my story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I understand from listening to your book, was your daughter, the oldest daughter, Layla, was she one of the first people that you actually really told the story to? And even then, it was kind of in pieces, isn't that right?
Yeah, she was actually the first person. And when her and I started these sessions where we would get together, and like I said, she would ask questions and I would talk. The more I talked and the more I got out with her, the better it felt. And then, no, it wasn't right away that I kind of told her everything. She grew up, I mean, she used to come up to the prison to visit me, so she knew I was in and out of jail.
But she didn't know why.
She didn't know the details of a lot of the stuff. And there were times that we would have to take a break because it would get emotional between us. And so, yeah, it's been really freeing and rewarding to be able to share this story.
Hey, we're back, and we're going to pick up this conversation where we left off. But Trey, what do you love about this moment with this incredible individual?
I love that Larry Miller is so candid, so raw, and so open and honest with people who, may or may not have a similar background, but the story resonates. That, like you said earlier, no matter where you come from, it doesn't have to determine where you go. And has Larry Miller been some places?
Absolutely. Well, let's check out the rest of this incredible conversation.
All right, you guys, one more time for Larry Miller in the building. So you've also talked about how important community is to you. We don't hear a whole lot, I know, but we don't hear a whole lot. We hear a lot about the Nike and the brand Jordan and the Portland Trailblazers, but we don't hear a lot about how you have really been a pillar in the community right here in Portland. Talk about celebrating Black culture and how you see us moving forward.
So to me, Black culture inspires culture throughout the world. I mean, I think if you think about, the things that influence culture and where things come from and where things originate, a lot of the things that affect and impact the culture of the world start in Black culture, start in our communities. When I was, when we were starting the Jordan brand kind of as a separate business, and I was asked to put a team together and put strategies together on how we were going to take the Jordan logo and actually create a brand. And one of the things that we did, we spent a lot of time early on determining who our target consumer was and how we were going to focus on that consumer. And we clearly identified our consumer as Black, living in the hood, basketball player, one of the leaders when it came to style, just all these things that we looked at that defined the kid that we were targeting, because the other reason was we realized, or I believed anyway, that if we were able to get that kid would then influence everybody else. And when we started Jordan, I would say Jordan was kind of a pretty much a Black brand at the time. I mean, it was everybody, but it was pretty much. Now Jordan is like a global brand. I mean, you go anywhere in the world now and you see Jordan, and I think that was influenced by Black culture.
I'm going to point out in your book, you talk about the story specifically Black women. Can we get some snaps around Black women? Because in the book, I loved it. I just chuckled. I had to rewind it a couple times. How you talked about how I think there was a young lady in the store and she couldn't find hers, like the cute sneaker to go with the outfit. And you know what I'm talking about, right, ladies? Like we want to step out if it's at the gym or running around doing errands. We want our stuff to be coordinated. And you had the eye to say, this sister over here didn't put the shoes back, the outfit back, because nothing was going together. And I think that you saw back then that it's really, Black people in general, but Black women really drive the culture.
I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Please don't.
I'm smart
Please
enough.
don't, Larry. Please don't.
Smart enough not to argue that point with you. But again, I think you're right. I was in the store in San Francisco, and I had just started at Nike, and I was there, kind of walking through the store, and I see this young lady come in, and she picked up a shoe. I could tell she really liked the shoe, And then she walked over to the apparel area and she started trying to match the color of the shoe, and she couldn't match it. And we do a much better job at that now. But back then it was like footwear did what they wanted to do, and apparel tried to catch up to them if they could. But she walked around, couldn't find it. She put the shoe back. So to me, we lost a footwear sale and an apparel sale. And I came back, I was like, you know what? We got to figure out how to really service this consumer better. We got to be better at servicing her and making sure that, you know, she gets what she needs. And for years, women used to they used to beat me up badly about Jordan because we were not doing anything for the female consumer. I acknowledge that. But we tried a couple times and it just didn't work. We tried doing basketball shoes for women, and at the time, and this may be different now, but at the time, what we found out is that the women and the girls, they wanted the same shoes the guys were wearing. Yeah. The ballers, the ones who were playing basketball, they wanted to wear the same shoes that the guys were wearing. So that didn't work. But now, I think our women's business right now is the fastest growing part of the Jordan business, and it's something that we're focused on and that we're putting resources and effort behind because you're right.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of all the ladies also. No, again, you guys, I cannot encourage you enough to make sure that you get Larry Miller's book, Jump, My Secret Success, My Secret Journey. I say success all the time, but my secret journey from the streets to the boardroom. What do you have? Anything else that you want to say before we open it up to the
Again,
peeps?
I just want to say thank you for an opportunity to do this at home. You know, this is my second home. Philly is still first home, but this is my second home for sure. And to be able to be here and to share this and to have this conversation with folks here in Portland, I appreciate the opportunity. And you know, one of the things that I'm continuing to focus on is how can we improve the situation for people that are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated people. And I've been working with a number of organizations that are doing that work, and I plan to continue to do that, to continue to focus on how we can improve the situation. And again, to me, it's something that makes sense because these are folks that, if given the right opportunity, can contribute to our communities.
Absolutely. Mindset and opportunity, they go hand in hand.
Hi, my name is Brett Brown. Earlier you mentioned something about imposter syndrome, and I want to ask you about confidence and maybe how important that trait was in your journey, because I think it's pretty common, even for people in our community that have qualifications, to get inside their own head and, you know, experience the trauma that people that had opportunities or weren't even given the opportunity, and they count themselves out and think that people in certain spaces don't want them to be there. So coming from where you come from in your journey, like, you kind of had a lot of things working against you, yet here you are. So what's the source of your confidence and self-belief? Was it from childhood? Was it innate? And coming out of prison, did you have a lot of people around you that really were telling you what you can do?
So, like I mentioned a little earlier, I come from a family that's really supportive, encouraging, and I remember, for as long as I can remember, uncles and cousins, everybody telling me, boy, you could do anything you put your mind to, and that sunk in. And like I said, people saw in me things that I didn't see in myself at that point. And I've had challenges over the years where I'm like, well, do I really? I'll never forget this. I probably shouldn't talk about this here at White Kennedy, but when we first started the Jordan brand, the first ad that White and Kennedy did for us wasn't that great. I'll put it that way. But wasn't that great? So, and I'll never forget, Howard White and I were walking back from seeing it, and I said, H, what do you think about what do you think about? He said, man, that thing wasn't good. I said, no, I agree. I said, but you know, I think they're the experts at this thing. And he said, Mill, you the expert at this. So, you know what I mean? And at that point, he actually changed my thought process, because at that point I was like, you know what, Howard's right. We know more about what we're trying to do with the Jordan brand than anybody else here, so we're the ones that should be making the decisions on that. And so it's having encouragement along the way has helped. Having me and Howard was like my guru along the way. I mean, whenever I would run into those situations where I had a little doubt or was questioning whether I could do it, I could sit down and talk with him. And
See, transformation doesn't require perfection. It just requires clarity, courage, and a community that champions your next step.
I love that. So we encourage you to share this with somebody ready to bet on themselves. You can see more great conversations on Trey Renee's YouTube for Situations and Conversations, and of course, streaming on the Coin Plus app. And you can tune in to the Portland CW on Sundays for even more inspiring conversations. Trey, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Watch Situations and Conversations, Trey's Top 10 with my guy Jeremiah Stroop on Portland CW and streaming on the Coin Plus app, Sundays at noon.